I am so sick and tired of the lies. I'm tired of the clickbait. It's time to set the record straight. Welcome to HBRV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Now, if you have small children present, I got to give you fair warning, there will be light foul language in this episode. I'm going to try to hold back, but I'm super pissed off. I tried to do this episode yesterday, but I was so angry, like every other word that came out of my mouth was the F-bomb, okay? There is no such thing as a motorhome sales ban. I have contacted all 6 states. All 6. And I'm going to botch the first one. Massachusetts. I always botch it. I'm sorry if you're from there. New York State, New Jersey, Oregon, Washington State, and California. All 6 states, whether I talked to somebody over the phone or whether I got an email, all confirmed that there is no such thing as a motorhome sales ban. Period. End of report. And the legislation everybody's pointing to, I'm going to give you their explanation. Not the explanation of some RV YouTuber looking to get views and make money on ad revenue and make their sponsors happy. This is a fact. And I'm sick and tired of this. Now, with the exception I can think of off the top of my head is Jason at RV Miles. But the rest of you are fair game. You guys are lying to the RV community. You're lying to the RV public and to the manufacturers. All it took me was 1 week, and I got a straight answer about this entire thing. 1 week of making phone calls and prying instead of assuming and letting the chassis manufacturer tell you what it's all about. Or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you let a couple lawyers tell you how it's about. I have facts. And by the way, if you liked copies of these emails that I have received, I'm happy to forward them to you. All you have to do is go in the description box below, and my email's right there, and just request it and I'll send them to you. Let's start with the facts. Fact number 1. If you want to buy a motorhome, brand new, 2025 motorhome in California, you can. And you can register it. If you want to buy a used motorhome in California, doesn't matter what age it is, doesn't matter if it's diesel, doesn't matter if it's gas, you can register it. Now the differences in California is California is going to charge you more registration fees and what they call a California Air Resource Board fee if it doesn't pass certain smog regulations. Now the other part is I believe, now according to what I've been told, is they might be kicking this can down a little bit. But with the older diesel pushers, just like I talked about 3 years ago, they may be subject to getting smogged twice a year. Now, how do you avoid a lot of this bull crap? Well, just like I said in the video I did 3 years ago, there's an exemption list for a lot of the motorhomes in California. You just click on the link. In fact, I'll provide that link again in the description box below. You simply take pictures of your motorhome inside and out. I'll even link the video that I did on it in the description box below so you can be walked through it and listen to me read the email. I do apologize. That video is very boring and there's a bunch of Christmas stuff in the background from the old apartment in Ventura, California. Oregon. You can buy a brand new diesel pusher, a brand new 2025 diesel pusher, and register it in the state of Oregon. Washington State, you can buy a 2025 diesel pusher and register it in your state. New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and sorry I botched that. You can go buy a brand new diesel pusher and register it in your home state. There is no ban on the sale of motorhomes. There's no ban on registering your motorhomes. Period. End of report. Now let's get into this thing about used one more time. Used motorhomes, gas or diesel, can be sold within the state of Oregon, within the state of Washington, within the state of New York, within the state of New Jersey, within the state of Massachusetts. There is no such thing as a motorhome sales ban. Get that verbiage out of your fucking mouth. It's clickbait, disinformation, misinformation, fake news. I'm sick and tired of it. I went through this 3 years ago. There was a young blonde woman who started screaming to high heaven on the internet about how California was going to ban the sale of motorhomes in 2022. Did that happen? No. Apparently this young lady has like 300,000 followers. And she puts out whatever crap she wants to. And again, in their defense, because you know how I'll give both sides. In their defense, it's been very hard to make money on YouTube this year. Now, I'm not a very big YouTuber. I'm a very, very small speck of sand in the great beyond. So I don't get affected as much as these people do. But I'm starting to understand why they put out this nonsense lies. Because lies don't get fact-checked. And lies spread like wildfire on the internet and make you a lot of money. Again, just like I said earlier, the only exception I can think of off the top of my head is Jason from RV Miles. I think he did a pretty good job trying to cover this. I think Jason's one of the best RV YouTubers when it comes to news. I think he does a really good job. Again, there's a lot of things that I've done in a week ever since this all came out in 1 week. So let's explain the law that everybody's talking about. Because I got it broken down like a 5-year-old. So I asked the California Air Resource Board to please break it down for me as if I was 5 years old. This is exactly what the law is. The law does not affect motorhomes. They consider the manufacturer to be the chassis company. Okay? Now, we're going to use Ford as an example here, because Ford is the largest supplier of RV chassis. Okay? And it's easy to pick on them. Let's use Class B motorhomes, because some idiot said on the internet, "Oh, they're gonna cancel Class B motorhomes in 6 states." Hold on. Bullshit. Sorry. Bullshit. Sorry. Here's the exact law. They have said over time, and by the way, this law has been in place since 2023, that the chassis manufacturers have to build a certain percentage of their total fleet at that weight class to be zero emissions vehicles. So in the Class B section, which is at 8,501 pound to 14,000 pound, they have to build 7% for 2025. Now, that's not for the RV industry. It's not RV specific. What that means is, watch this, folks. What that means is Ford does not have to give a portion of that 7% to the RV industry. They can give them all the combustible engines that they want. As long as they sell 7% of their total allocated fleet in California in Oregon, in Washington, in New York, in New Jersey, in Massachusetts of 7%. So what does that mean? That means for every, let's say for example, for every 100 of those chassis at that weight level, it's not saying transits, it's not saying this, it's not saying that, it's not the different chassis types, it's chassis weight and weight only. That's a fact. Oh my God, there's not enough allocation of chassis for zero emission vehicles for the RV industry. They don't have to be. I had it confirmed by the compliance people and the people that actually enforce the law in California, saying it has nothing to do with RVs, it has to do with the actual cutaway chassis. So if, let's say for example, Coachman, we're going to pick on Coachman for a minute. Let's say Coachman Beyond, which is a Class B motorhome, they decide they're going to order and sell 50 B vans in California. None of them have to be zero emissions. None. It's not a requirement. It's the total fleet of vehicles sold. So for example, here's a great example. Here's the best way to break it down for you. Let's just say Amazon, let's say Ford says they're going to allocate 2,000 chassis for California sale. For everything at that Class B motorhome size, 8,501 to 14,000 pounds. Watch this. Watch this. That means they have to come up with 140 zero emissions vehicles. Now let's just say, because this is a very common thing right now, let's say that FedEx and Amazon and UPS buy 140, all 140 EV chassis or zero emission vehicle chassis. That satisfies every state's manufacturing, and the other 860 chassis, or 1,860 chassis can be combustible engines as long as they pass the smog laws. So the reality is, if the manufacturers of RVs don't build Class B motorhomes for California, that's because Ford chose not to do zero emission vehicles for that weight range. That's a fact. So that means Ford decided to screw the RV industry. That's not a state mandate that prevents RVs from being sold. Period. I'm so sick of the fucking bullshit. I'm tired of every day hearing some person tell me on the internet that I'm fucking smoking crack. I'm tired of it. So that's why I chase the answers again, like I did 3 years ago. So here we go. Let's go diesel pushers. It's the same thing with diesel pushers. There was a certain percentage of diesel pusher chassis at the weight range. So let's use Spartan as an example. If Spartan builds 50 chassis for the state of California, only a certain percentage of them have to be zero emissions. That's it. Now here's the funny part. If Donald Trump walks into office on January 20th, 2025 and does what he promised to do and signs an executive order removing any ban of combustible engines, removing any kind of mandates for combustible engines to be gone, this is a moot point. And you know what's very interesting? And this is to you, the RV manufacturers. I got told watch this, I got told by the CARB, the California Air Resource Board, that you can participate in buying the credits for Ford, for Spartan, for Freightliner. So if you really want to do business in California, you have the ability to. It's whether you choose to. That's the difference. The difference is the manufacturers have a choice. They've chosen not to do it. That's the difference. So it's not a motorhome sales ban. Now here's an interesting thing. What if I go out of state? Let's say you're in California or New York or New Jersey and you fly to Texas to buy a diesel pusher. As long as that diesel pusher passes your state smog laws, you can register it in your state. This legislation does not prevent you from going to another state and buying a motorhome. If you want to go buy a $500,000 diesel pusher in Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, wherever, Nevada, and you want to drive it back to Oregon, you want to drive it back to Washington, as long as it passes the smog regulations of your state, you can register it there. Now the biggest difference is some of these states are kicking the can down the road. New York, if you read the New York email I got, they kind of seemed, it seemed to imply that they kicked the can down the road 4 years. That they're not even going to enforce this Clean Truck Act until 2029. Again, that's how it reads. New Jersey seems to have kicked the can down the road for the same amount of time. Oregon kicked the can down the road for another year. Washington, California, and Massachusetts, sorry if I botched that, are the only three that are actually applying this legislation this coming year in 2025. By the way, the legislation in California's sense has been around since, 2023? Why do we keep recycling the same bullshit? Why do we keep doing it? Now, as far as the YouTuber I was going to expose, I'm still going to do it, but I'm going to do it differently. So I'll give you a little background on what happened. Okay? So I made my phone calls. And everybody knows who this person is. On the manufacturing side, on the vending side. Hell, even some 20 group dealers know who this person is. And all of them use the same thing. They call this person an ambulance chaser. I mean, what a term. What a term by 12 people to tell me. And they don't even know each other that I know of. It's just so funny. But anyway, so I got an interesting phone call. Can't tell you from who. It's not from an executive in RV industry or anything, but it's from somebody I trust a lot. And they told me that they were asked for me to not mention names, not to mention manufacturers when I tell the story. I'm allowed to tell the story, and they said, tell the story in your way and your verbiage and the way you do things. And he goes, but just leave this out. He goes, there's a lot of legal things going on against this YouTuber, possibly. And what they don't want is they don't want me mixed up in it. So basically, there's some behind the scenes legal stuff that's going to go against this YouTuber. And once I tell you the story, I'm going to tell you the story tomorrow. Okay, not today. Because I don't want to drag this thing on to 40 minutes. I want to try to keep under 22. But being told that makes sense. Because what this person has done deserves to have some kind of legal action against them. I'm not saying that they should lose that legal action, but I think at least the legal action will wake this person up and wake up people around them. That it's not okay to make stuff up. It's not okay to use your platform to quote unquote ambulance chase manufacturers. It's not right. It's not right. So I'm in agreement with the manufacturers on this. That's a very rare thing for me. But what I'm not is I'm not happy with the manufacturers about this ACT law in California, because it seems like nobody bothered to actually ask the California Air Resource Board directly questions. Until next time, toolkit and sense of humor.